I do see lithium being it is a critical bottleneck in the supply chain. And it will take time to debottleneck, lithium supply. That is also where I see, DLE technology coupled with, new types of brine resources, filling that gap.
Dr. David Deak joins me now. He's the president of Marbex LLC. Dr. Deak, welcome back.
Thank you. A real pleasure to be speaking with you again.
You bet. It has been a number of years. And David, there's so many things I would love to run by you because you've done so much in the battery metal space, starting with the battery supply chain role at Tesla's Gigaplant originally, and then with Lithium Americas, you've really sort of had your foot everywhere. But what I've been focusing on lately is this emerging importance of direct lithium extraction technologies to the lithium supply chain equation, because it seems that Chile's not going to allow solar evaporation ponds on any scale anymore, nor is Argentina. And the direct lithium extraction technologies seem to be sort of the holy grail of lithium extraction and product purification. So in your view, where does direct lithium extraction sit in the future supply chain of lithium relative to spodumene hard rock extraction or traditional solar evaporation from Solaris?
Right. So I would say that moving forward, there's not going to be a lot of opportunity for the evaporation pond process to capture more market share, I would say. And so that really brings a lot of focus into, brines and hard rocks, as well as sedimentary materials, will be resources to be developed and advanced to increase the supply of lithium. For brine resources, direct lithium extraction will play an absolutely vital role to not only enabling traditional type of brine resources, for example, from salars in South America, but also it can be used to unlock resources that are traditionally considered, non-commercial. So, for example, geothermal brines, sort of petro brines, and oil field brines. These are types of resources that, in the conventional sense, are considered low grade. And more difficult to develop, but with the right kind of extraction approach, these can be, very cost competitive resources.
Mm-hmm. And so, from your perspective, who are the leading sort of developers of direct lithium extractions that are closest to actual commercial production?
Right. So what I would say is, in the direct lithium extraction space, you have different approaches being pursued. And you have, I would characterize them in sort of three technological platforms, basically. One would be using membrane types of technology, where the whole idea is to basically filter through brines through membranes, where those membranes exclusively or selectively allow lithium through and reject impurities. And then you have another type of platform, which is based on ion exchange. And that can come in the form of either ion exchange resins, or it could also be solvent extraction as well. And then you have a third category made from sorbents, where the whole idea there is that you have sorbent resin that selectively absorbs lithium and can desorb lithium without the use of reagents like you do with ion exchange. So those three sort of platforms, all three may have a place in the lithium extraction space or the lithium processing space. But I would really say for the lithium extraction space, sorbents are the future of direct lithium extraction. And I say that because sorbents, they're commercial today. Livent, for example, uses a sorbent in Argentina in their sort of hybrid DLE pond system, and the benefits of a sorbent are that you don't use reagents. You can have resins that have a very long lifetime, and the other advantages as well is that it's commercially developed and it can be enhanced basically from what's been commercially developed today. For a direct lithium extraction approach, there are basically two things that you want out of a direct lithium extraction unit. One would be to concentrate your lithium. The other would be to reject impurities. And out of those three categories, ion exchange and sorbents are the ones for which you can do both things efficiently. But ion exchange systems require a lot of reagents and a lot of, for every mole of lithium that you want to get out of the system and extract out of a brine, you need a mole of acid and a mole of base as a minimum. And that does draw down on cost and complexity when you want to build an extraction unit with ion exchange. So that's sort of my sort of outlook. The membrane technology, I think, would be very useful in applications where you're going to have, an electrolysis process, because membranes they might be good at rejecting impurities and effectively purifying lithium. It usually comes at the cost of diluting lithium if you're trying to pass the lithium through that membrane. So you need to concentrate that lithium.
Right.
So that without calling out certain companies and names, I would say there's a particular platform approach that could be taken, that could be leveraged in the direct lithium extraction space. The other thing I would mention as well is that when it comes to selecting, a resource developer who wants to select the right extraction approach, I would direct them down a road for which you look for minimal complexities and costs, which means minimal use of reagents, but also really look at what's the water footprint and the reliability of an extraction system, and also lifetime as well. You really want to sort of abuse test a process so that you make sure that it can survive a lot of conditions in as it operates over what will be decades.
Sure. So Tesla, for example, has just sort of rolled out its 4680 battery, which is essentially a tabless configuration. And, so Tesla is obviously invested in pursuing refined battery chemistries that reduce the risk of flammability, for one thing, increase power density, and also reduce the reliance on the more expensive and less reliable supplied metals like cobalt. So from where you sit, do you see that lithium-ion batteries' dominance in the automotive vehicle space is in any way threatened through the sort of surrounding emerging alternative battery technologies that don't use lithium?
The short answer is no. It's pretty difficult to escape lithium as the ideal sort of charge carrier in a battery for mobile applications. And the reason why is because lithium is not only the lightest metal on the periodic table, it also, when you couple it with other elements to make a battery, you have what's called you get the highest electrochemical potential out of lithium compared to any other element. So that basically means that you can have the highest voltage and hence highest energy capacity using lithium versus any other elements in the periodic table. So when it comes to stationary storage, on the other hand, where weight and size may not be such a critical factor, then that's where you can see alternatives to lithium-ion technology blossoming.
Sure. And on the supply side for lithium, in 2021, there was 400,000 roughly tons produced, and yet the demand is approaching 2 million tons annually, 5 million tons by 2025 or 2030, depending on who you listen to. But at any rate, the clear disconnect between the supply and demand equation is that there doesn't appear to be enough lithium even under development now to satisfy the demand going out 10 years. So how is that going to impact the ability of electric vehicle manufacturers to meet their own targets?
Yeah, I do see lithium being it is a critical bottleneck in the supply chain. And it will take time to debottleneck, lithium supply. That is also where I see, DLE technology coupled with, new types of brine resources filling that gap. So when you look at a lot of analyst projections on supply, especially those that understand that there is a gap between supply versus the oncoming demand, it will be unconventional resources that are potentially not even captured in that in a lot of that analysis that ends up sort of filling the gap. It's not entirely. It may not be entirely clear from a lot of vantage points where and how these resources will be developed. I mean, I have a pretty good idea in the sense that I think there's a handful of North American resources, brine resources, again, very unconventional, that sit to, there's a lot of potential there to develop such resources with the right sort of technology platform.
David, we're going to leave it there for now. That's pretty much our time limit. I really appreciate your input today, and we'll come back to you in due course and have a follow-up conversation. Thanks for your time today.
Absolutely. Really enjoyed it.
You bet. Bye for now.